Hey everyone, welcome to Jackalope Fire, also JoF TV. I'm your host Scylla, and with me this week is Chuck. Hey Chuck.
Hey, I do that so much better than you do.
That's a matter of opinion. We have a lot to get to today. First I want to say it has been a few weeks since we've done this. I have just been incredibly busy. I've wanted to do one the last 2 weeks, actually the last 3 weeks, and things just keep coming up. Unfortunately, when you don't get paid for this, other stuff happens.
That's right.
So all I can do is apologize, and hopefully we can do it more often, but we do what we can. I don't want to spend too much time on talking about why we haven't done it, though, because now that we have a lot to talk about. I want to get right to it because I don't want to drag this out for 3 hours. So first and foremost, there's a lot of stuff going on at DC right now. Actually, there's a lot that's happened the last few weeks since we haven't done one of these. The first thing I want to get into, and I wanted to do a podcast like as soon as this happened because I thought it was so funny. I actually got a Twitter response from Dan Didio to one of my tweets to him. And I thought it was pretty funny.
I thought we had done one since then.
We have not.
Wow.
I've been dying to talk about this. So it started because one of my friends made a tweet about how she wasn't going to be buying comic books from DC and basically why she was doing her own personal boycott of them. To which I replied that she wasn't going to be missing much, or something to that effect. The funny part is Dan Didio jumped in on this and said that it was a shame that there was some good books that she was going to be missing out on. My reply to that was, considering what we had seen from the New 52, I found that highly unlikely. He shut up after that.
Yeah, he doesn't like confrontation.
No.
Clearly.
No, and I have, again, not only on this podcast have I left an open invitation for him to join us, but I tweeted him directly expressing my desire to have him on. I would love nothing more than to have a rational, complete discussion with no holds barred, no question off limits, no dodginess. I don't suspect that'll ever happen because I don't know if Didio knows how to have a conversation without dodginess. But I found the fact that I got a reply at all very humorous. I thought it was funny as could be. I never expected him to actually reply to one of my tweets. Also found it funny that he didn't reply to any more after that. And you actually jumped in on that conversation and weren't quite as
nice
as I was, yeah.
I forget exactly what we posted. Do you have the transcript?
Not on me, but I know that you weren't as nice as I was, and I can actually probably find this pretty quickly here.
Yeah, like I said, it's been a while. I thought we had actually already done a cast since then, but yeah, it's been a while since I don't recall exactly what was said.
Oh, here, let's see. Nope, I'm almost found it. Oh, I actually think I had found it. Twitter seems to hate me today.
That figures.
Let's see. That said, if any of you guys get any sort of response from Didio and want to share it with us, I'm more than happy to see. I don't follow him on Twitter. Oh, here we go. I found it, and it actually led to a whole string of posts from different people. I temporarily felt like the anti-DC spokesperson, the way people were retweeting that tweet.
Mm.
It was actually quite, oh, here it is. So the exchange started with, I made a comment that if more proof was needed of Didio's stupidity, there was a highlight of it. Basically, if you go to the Outhousers, which is the site that hosts, has DC Comics done anything stupid today, they did a really good comprehensive outline of everything stupid that's happened since the New 52. Feel free to go and check that out. My friend Jill replied to that, "I am angry. I was about to go purchase some comics because I'm a fan of the Batman team, but no." And so I retweet that and add, "See, Dan Didio lost more sales." Didio jumps in and says, "Sorry to hear that. You're going to be missing out on some really good books." And I'm actually glad I found this because I really did like my reply to this. I said, "Really good is really subjective, and based on what I've seen of New 52, I would venture a guess they aren't." He did not reply to that. A lot of other people did, agreeing with me, but he didn't reply. You jumped in and said, "Mr. Didio, you really should read the internet some more. The fans have little or no respect for you."
Yeah, that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that was actually pretty tame for me.
For you, yes. It wasn't quite as
it's not as vicious as my asshats campaign against all the goddamn tweet spam that I keep getting.
That's just funny. Explain that to our viewers.
So for those of you that don't have Twitter, and praise you if you don't, because let me tell you, it's a hassle to have. But I get just inundated with spam, and what these are is promoted tweets. Basically, these are companies or people that I don't follow, and that nobody that I do follow is retweeting. Twitter is allowing these companies and people to pay money to promote their tweets. And it even says at the bottom, promoted by whomever.
And this has been happening for a while, but it has gotten to where there's more of them recently.
Right, exactly. I counted the other day. I got something like 13 in one day. And that may not seem like a lot if you've got a lot of Twitter feeds that you follow, but I don't follow a whole lot of people, and they don't post a whole lot of information. So it gets to where some days every other tweet is a promoted tweet. And that's really annoying. So what I started doing is replying to them. I do a quick little reply, and it says, it has varied here lately, but at first I was just copying and pasting the same thing. Something to the effect of, if I cared enough to know about this, I would be following you in the first place. Stop filling up my Twitter feed with spam, and then hashtag asshats. And it has, and that's spelled ASSHATS, if you want to go search the hashtag and see what all gets posted with that hashtag. Anyway, so like I said, it's varied here lately. Some of them, like the one about Cher's new album, I said, I didn't give a fuck about her when she was relevant. I sure as hell don't care about her now. I'm very mean. I'm not nice at all. I don't want to see spam. Even the stuff that is talking about stuff that I actually am going to be interested in, like some of the new shows that were coming out this fall that I am watching, I still didn't appreciate having their spam in my Twitter feed. If I wanted to follow their Twitter feed, I would follow it. I don't want to be spammed with it. Social networking should not be a place for advertising. Okay? That's just all there is to it. And if you are going to advertise, find a better way to do it to where it's not in the middle of my goddamn Twitter feed.
Yeah, I don't mind the promoted hashtags and the trending tweets. That doesn't bother me. The promoted tweets do get old. I just hit dismiss so they go away, but it's still very annoying.
Right, to have to dismiss 13, 14 tweets a day, that shouldn't be necessary. So, and that's my campaign, and I invite everybody to do the same thing. Start responding to those and be just as vicious as you can, because the reason I'm intentionally an asshole about it is because I want them to pay attention and fucking stop. And if I'm the only one doing it, they're just going to shrug it off. But if everybody starts doing it and it becomes a trend and a popular thing to viciously attack these promoted tweets, the promoted tweets will stop.
Well, yeah, because it's advertising, and if advertisers figure out the audience they're trying to get is just being irritated by it, they're going to stop advertising that way.
Right, because that's just going to drive people away from their product.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the whole point of what I'm doing, and I invite everybody to do the same thing.
I think it's a good idea, and I did consider it. I got very close to actually copying your base tweet and just using it. I just can't bring myself to be that mean.
Yeah, whatever.
But I do think it's very funny. I think it'd be funnier if one of them actually replied to it.
So far, I have not had a reply. I keep hoping that, because every now and then you'll get these promoted tweets that are promoted by one group, but also featuring the Twitter handle of someone else. So I keep hoping that if I do this, the other person will go, hey, wait a minute, I didn't say that could happen. What the fuck are you people doing to me? Those are my fans. Quit that. Something like that. Let's just say that the people at ABC suddenly start doing promoted tweets for Castle. Nathan Fillion, I think, would actually be pretty pissed about it if he didn't agree to allow that.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Yeah, that actually annoyed me. One of the promoted tweets I got was from the Once Upon a Time account, which is a show that I like, but I don't follow their Twitter. And I was actually very annoyed to see a promoted tweet from them because I actually like their show.
Right. And I have, like I said, I have more recently started actually tailoring it for each individual one. So like when I get one like that is something that I am interested in or do watch or whatever, I say, I love the show, but I hate the spam. Fuck off. Something like that.
Right.
I forget what it was. There was something coming out that I said, I'm going to be watching this show, but I still don't appreciate your spam. Good luck to whomever the star was. I forget. It may be Sean Saves the World. I'm not sure. But anyway, and then I still said, fuck off. I don't want to see your spam. Because whether I support the product or not, I don't want to see the spam.
Yeah.
I get enough commercials on TV. I don't need to see it on the internet.
I actually got one for Thor 2 the other day. I think we're probably going to be seeing a lot more of those as it gets closer to November.
Obviously.
Anyway, so there's some other big, actually there's been so much big DC news. The whole Didio thing was actually prompted by them disallowing Kate Kane, which you may know better as Batwoman, from getting married to her longtime girlfriend. This sparked an outrage because people were saying DC's all anti-gay and don't like gay marriage. But this isn't the case. I will actually defend DC on that point. They're not anti-gay and they're not anti-gay marriage. They actually have proven that in multiple ways. They're anti-marriage, gay, straight, or otherwise. They don't want any of their characters getting married. That's why Clark's not married anymore. It's why none of the major heroes are married. They don't want their heroes married. That's where the problem lies.
Yeah.
So people that are trying to jump on them for being anti-gay really are kind of missing the point. It's not about gay marriage. It's about marriage, period. I think DC got a lot of flack for that. That was for the wrong reasons. In other DC news, and to my utter and complete disappointment in every single comic fan that participated, their idiotic 3D Villains Month was a success.
Yeah.
I hate you all. Seriously, 3D covers have been a gimmick since the 90s. How is this still a plausible gimmick? Not to mention the fact that DC continued to fuck up leading up to it, and then they were successful at it.
Well, but okay. It really depends on how they're rating success. Because if they're rating success by the concept that they sold out, that's easy to do. They didn't print enough. We know that. We know that it was a short print. So
they sold
if
40% more than anything Marvel did that month.
That doesn't mean anything. That means absolutely nothing. I would like to see more raw data on that because Marvel sucks. Comics in general are kind of sucking right now. The whole comic book industry took a major hit. So selling more than what Marvel did, whether it's 100% or 50% or whatever, that doesn't say a lot to me. I want to see real data.
By comic book standards, it was a success. That's what bothers me.
Well,
they fucked retailers over every step of the way, and they came out ahead with the stupidest gimmick ever. I'm very disappointed in comic book fans. That's really all I can say about it. That said, if everything goes according to supposed plan, I may actually be ending my personal DC boycott. Yesterday at New York Comic Con, there was an announcement made by comic book writer Scott Snyder that Stephanie Brown will be returning to comic books next year in a year-long weekly series called Batman Eternal. Scott Snyder is the major creative force on this project, and it's essentially a project that's supposed to be for the anniversary of Batman. I want to say, 75 years or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
And so it's going to be a year-long weekly comic, and they're going to reintroduce Stephanie in issue number 3. She is...
75.
She is, best we can tell, coming back as spoiler. There is some fan speculation that it's going to lead to her becoming Batgirl again, because evidently Barbara's been floundering on if she wants to continue to be Batgirl in her own book. I don't see that aspect of it happening. I think hell would freeze over before Didio let Stephanie get the cow again. I think I don't read Batgirl, but I think whatever is happening there is probably just a plot device, and Barbara's not going anywhere. If we get Stephanie back, it's going to be a spoiler. I'm very skeptical until I see how this plays out, for a couple of reasons. One, while it is a victory for Stephanie Brown fans to get Stephanie back into existence and didn't take 20 years like it did for Kara, we know what they've done with the other New 52 females. Well, characters in general, but specifically females. This may not be the Stephanie that we were hoping to see.
Yeah.
So there is that aspect of it. Beyond that, I'm also hoping that this isn't just a gimmick to get sales for the book, and they're going to kill Stephanie halfway through the year. It wouldn't be the first time they use Stephanie's death as a gimmick.
Right. Yeah, I really do think that this is going to be a, when it's all said and done, this is actually going to just piss off the Stephanie fans more.
I suspect so as well, which is why I'm not jumping up and down screaming Steph's back. I was very excited when it was announced that she was going to be Nightwing in the Smallville series. Very, very excited. And
right.
Obviously that turned out to be a massive letdown.
Right.
So as excited as I want to be about this news, as much as this is what I have been wanting for 2 years, I find it very hard to have the level of excitement that I otherwise would have expected just because of everything that's happened leading up to it.
Right.
I'm very happy that Stephanie's coming back. After everything Didio has said about her being a toxic character, I find it suspect that she's suddenly not. And I'm not convinced that this isn't a gimmick and they're going to kill her off. And again, I'm so disappointed in what they've done with Kara that I'm completely ready to be disappointed in them ruining my other favorite female character. I almost wonder if maybe it was better before, but we're going to have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But I've said that all along, that maybe we were better off. What we really needed to hope for was reverse Flashpoint and not Stephanie's return, because Stephanie's return may not be all we wanted.
Right. Yeah, no, and that's what I've been saying as well. I don't really care about the one or two little characters along the way, and don't misunderstand me when I say little. I'm simply saying that in the grand picture, one or two characters is nothing. They need to reset the entire thing back to where it was.
Exactly.
They need to reverse the effects of Flashpoint.
Right. Unfortunately, I've been one of the people that's been holding out hope since the beginning that they would eventually realize their mistake. Not that they had planned on reversing it all along, but that they would eventually realize their mistake and decide to go back. I'm getting to the point where even I am starting to think, even if, I don't think they see they made a mistake anyway, because I really think that Didio just doesn't care. He wants the DCU to be his DCU. His vision of it, regardless of what anybody else but him thinks.
Right.
He doesn't care if the fans like it or not, period. But I also think at this point, even if by some miracle he sat back and went, okay, maybe that wasn't such a good idea, that he would never admit to it. I think he would let DC tank before he admitted that Flashpoint was a mistake, that the New 52 was a failure. So I'm actually starting to lose hope that we'll ever get the old DCU back.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think that it's, we all assumed early on that, okay, well, this is just a big gimmick, much like 52 and Countdown and all that other stuff. We all thought it was just going to be a temporary thing, and then everything would go back to normal, and it hasn't been that.
No. And I was prepared to continue my boycott of DC Comics forever. With Stephanie's return, and to be clear, I am not yet ending my boycott because I don't yet truly believe this. Mm-hmm. I don't care if Didio was in the audience when this was announced. It would be just like him to be twirling his little villainous mustache and go, ha ha ha, just kidding, Stephanie Vans. In all seriousness, though, until it's in print, I'm going to have a hard time believing Stephanie's really coming back just because of everything else that's happened.
And even besides that, it would have to be in print in my hands.
Yeah.
Not because even Nightwing technically had been printed. They had to go back and change it. Stephanie as Nightwing.
Well, it had been done. It hadn't been put into an issue yet. When the issue comes out, and that's the thing. She comes in issue 3. This is a weekly comic. It'll be the 3rd week. I am not going to buy the first 2 issues. When the 3rd issue is out and Stephanie is in it, I'll go buy all 3 issues together. And that will be the end of my DC comic boycott.
Yeah, okay.
It's
going to take considerably more for me to start paying for DC Comics again. One character will not turn that company around.
No, and I'm not going to add a lot of things to my pull list. That will be the only DC book I buy. If they do right by Stephanie, I might be willing to give other books a chance. But it would also be very hypocritical of me to have been fighting for Stephanie all this time and then upon her return not buy it.
Fair enough.
So will I be buying it solely for Stephanie? Absolutely. If they fuck it up, will I bitch, whine, and complain and reinstate my boycott and probably never touch another DC book again?
Absolutely.
This is their chance to get me and I know a lot of other fans back. I am not the only Stephanie fan. I am not the only one boycotting because of Stephanie that will buy this book for Stephanie.
Right.
This is their chance to get a decent segment of fans back. This is DC. They may fuck it up. Here's hoping they don't. And that's really all I have to say. I am happy. I am excited. I'm also very skeptical and cautious about being too excited. So, a couple of months is when Batman Eternal comes out, and we'll see what happens then.
Right.
I do want to say, if you want continuing news leading up to this, should there be any, I still am running the Save Stephanie Brown Facebook page. It's facebook.com/SaveSteph. Feel free to follow that page, and I will keep it updated with any Steph news as it comes out. I'm going to try not to get it, assuming we do several more of these before the end of the year, I'm going to try not to inundate every single one with a lot of Steph news until
that's a large assumption.
until it actually happens. So that's the place to get the Steph news from me. And that's really all I have to say about that. Did you have anything to add about the Steph news?
I don't. We've covered it all. Like I said, one character's not going to save the company. I'm not going to start reading comics just because of Stephanie, because I'm not the fan of Stephanie that you are. But I am. I wouldn't even call myself optimistic. I'm hoping, for the sake of the fans, such as yourself, that it's handled well and that it's a good character. But I'm not optimistic until I see results. That's when I'll start believing, words that come out of their mouths.
And you might be, if I get I haven't decided if I'm going to get physical copies of the comics like I used to when I was collecting before, or if I'm just going to go digital. I'm sure if I get the physical copies, you'll be willing to read them at that point if you don't have to pay for them.
Yeah, I give my own opinion on them, absolutely.
Yeah.
If I don't have to pay for something, I don't mind giving my opinion of it.
There you go. Now, that's my big fandom news. Your fandom has some really big news of its own.
That's right. So as you may or may not know, and if you don't know by now, why are you even here? I am a Doctor Who fan, and have been all my life.
Hardcore Whovian.
Yeah, I do love my Who, and it's not just, I'm not like some people that just like the new stuff. I like it all. I like old stuff, new stuff, you name it. I'm not a huge fan of the audio or the books that have been like sort of supplemental. I like what's aired on TV. That being said, the big news this year, of course, it is the 50th anniversary year, and we're really looking forward to the 50th anniversary special, which is going to be out in something like 38 days or something like that. Not that I'm counting.
No, not at all.
Anyway, the big news that we heard this week was there's been this rumor that some lost episodes are found. And quick backstory, I'll try not to drag this part out. There were 106 episodes of the classic Doctor Who series, starring the first and second Doctors, that have gone missing. They don't exist in the BBC archives anymore. And the reason for that is because the BBC back in the late 60s and early 70s started this process of deleting their master reels so that they could reuse the tapes. It was a way to save money, and it made perfect sense in the 60s and 70s because this is before home video was even conceived. Nobody even thought of, oh, hey, we're going to be able to sell these as a market. That had not entered anybody's brain yet because this is before Betamax, VHS, certainly before DVDs and Blu-rays.
It was common practice back then to wipe episodes. There's a lot of old shows that are missing. Doctor Who is just the most prevalent because of its current popularity. It stayed popular.
Yeah, exactly. So it's and this wasn't just a BBC policy. This was worldwide. Everybody that made television did this. So the process was halted at some point. Somebody said, "Wait a minute, hang on. We shouldn't be doing this. Here, I'll buy these off of you." And so it was stopped. So everything that from the Third Doctor forward is intact, with one exception. There's actually one episode of the Third Doctor from his first season that is gone. However, there is a black and white copy that was maintained by WGBH in Chicago. They actually had a black and white copy of it that they aired. So that was sent back to the BBC. So the BBC does have that in its archives, but it's not in color. Anyway,
with
back
technology today, they could probably colorize it.
They could, but I think they've made the decision not to because it would just look cheap. No. So at any rate, they the rumor has been that there were episodes found, and it has now been confirmed that there were 9 episodes of the Second Doctor's era, Patrick Troughton. They were found in Nigeria, of all places. Basically, there's this guy, and whose name escapes me. It's really not important, but there's this guy who goes around looking for classic movies and TV shows that have been lost to antiquity or whatever, and he's trying to find copies of them around the world. He's basically, they call him the Indiana Jones of movies and television, because that's what he does. He finds lost artifacts. But he was tracking stuff down and came across some shipping receipts and things like that, and tracked these reels to Nigeria, to just this television relay station in Nigeria, just sitting on a shelf gathering dust in masking tape along the canister. It just said Doctor Who. That's all it said. He didn't even know what was in it. So he gathered them, he sent them off to the BBC. They've been restored, and as of right now, they are now available on iTunes to watch. It's 9 episodes of the Patrick Troughton era. 5 of them are the entire collection of, hang on, I can tell you. One second. Let me go. The Enemy of the World. That's a Patrick Troughton episode. But more importantly, 4 of them are from Web of Fear. Web of Fear is the more important of these 2. Now, there are 6 episodes to the Web of Fear. 1 of them the BBC already had. 4 of them were just found. So there is still 1 missing to complete that serial. However, the reason this one is so important is for 2 reasons. Number 1, it introduces the Yeti into the Doctor Who universe. They're robotic minions. But number 2, it introduced Nicholas Courtney as Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart. Although it was before he was Brigadier. I forget what rank he was when the Second Doctor first met him. He didn't become Brigadier until the Third Doctor. But it's the introduction of that character, who was a major player throughout the series, and in fact has been mentioned twice in the new series. Once as just kind of a nudge, nudge, wink, wink in the first episode, the first season. It was during the Aliens of London stuff. And then later on, after the actor had passed away, they made reference to him as kind of a, just to honor him.
A tribute.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, a tribute. So it's huge news that during this anniversary season they have finally found, and it's been like 20 years since they found any others. The Tomb of the Cybermen was probably the most famous find. It was found in a studio in Hong Kong, and that was like 20 years ago. So here it is all this time later, and they finally found more lost Doctor Who episodes. So we're now down to 97 missing episodes, and the Doctor Who universe, the Whovians, are very very thrilled about this news. They are available to purchase, $10 per serial on iTunes right now. That I just verified it. They are actually on iTunes.
That's kind of expensive.
No, $10 per serial, meaning all the episodes.
Oh, okay.
Not per episode. That's why I specified per serial. It's $10 for the 5 episodes of Enemy of the World, and $10 for the I'm not sure how they're doing Web of Fear because, like I said, there are 6 episodes. I'm not sure how they're doing episode number 3, which is the one that's missing. I haven't purchased it because I'm broke. Even though it's payday weekend, I got too many bills to pay. It's pissing me off. But anyway, so yes, if you're into Doctor Who and you have not heard, that's pretty cool. Again, the 50th anniversary is coming up in a couple of weeks. Really looking forward to that. It's the Saturday after Thanksgiving for those American viewers. For the Canadian viewers, I'm sorry, no, not this past Saturday or today. When was Canadian Thanksgiving?
Who cares?
I think Monday is Canadian Thanksgiving, so but still not this coming weekend. So anyway. Why did you say who cares? Canadians have a right to their Thanksgiving.
What do they have to be thankful about? They're in Canada.
The same thing that we have to be thankful about. They're celebrating the same thing, just a different time.
They're wrong.
Why are they wrong?
It's not November.
You know, we didn't come over in November. The first Thanksgiving meal wasn't in November. God, it was freezing cold already up there. It would have been closer to early summer.
Then why do we celebrate Thanksgiving the last Thursday of November?
Because the federal government decided that that's when they wanted the holiday to be. It was an almost random choice. They wanted it to be kind of close to Christmas.
Speaking of the government,
which is a dumb holiday to begin with. Christmas shouldn't be where it is. It should be way up in March or something like that.
Yeah, it should be closer to Easter, but that has to do with the Christians wanting to take the pagan holiday.
Right. They were using it.
Yeah. So speaking of the government, they're shut down. Have you missed them at all?
I really haven't.
I haven't either.
You know, yeah, it's going to cause issues. There is going to be fallout from it. Most of the mission critical stuff is still running. Social Security checks are still going out. The VA checks are still going out. The disability checks, the ones that aren't Social Security, I think those have been put off, but they'll get back paid. It's very convoluted. It's very confusing. It's very stupid. They're being childish, and I think that Americans need to wake up and collectively fire every fucking one of them.
I blame Obama just as much as I do the...
Everybody takes equal blame. This is not one person's fault. It's not one party's fault. It's everybody's fault.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep. Yes, there's a lot of ego involved in this on both sides of the aisle, and they all need to get the fuck over it and do their fucking jobs.
Yeah, I was saying the other day, when can we shut down? Can we shut down just because we get a little irritated?
Yeah, exactly. You know, I work at a call center. Can all the people that I work with just decide not to come to work for months on end or weeks on end while our employer tries to figure out a better way to pay us or whatever demands we happen to have? No. That we would all lose our fucking jobs. And I think that's exactly what needs to happen to Congress. Every single senator and representative that walked out and stopped doing their job because of this bullshit needs to be fucking fired.
I say we fire the president while we're at it.
Ted Cruz needs to be the first one out the fucking door.
Really?
He led the charge.
I don't know how I feel about Ted Cruz. I
don't like any of them. I think they're all a bunch of whiny little assholes who didn't get their way, didn't get exactly the way they wanted to, so they fucking walked out. Whether they're Republican or Democratic, it doesn't matter. That's not what they're there for. They're there to do a job to serve the people of this country. They're not there to be childish little assholes. And that's exactly what they're doing. It's pissing me off. And yes, Ted Cruz needs to be the first one fired because he led the charge. And the thing is, Obama's already out the door. Doesn't matter what happens to him. Short of an impeachment, nothing matters. All he has to do is ride out the rest of his term.
I have a little bit of respect for any of the representatives that are fighting Obamacare because I think that that's going to be very bad for this country, but I don't think anybody's going about anything the right way.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, I don't know about Obamacare. I haven't done enough research to make a full opinion of it. I think based on what I have seen, it's probably going to be a nightmare. But that being said, what they're doing is not the way to handle it.
No.
There are better ways to handle things.
So, there you go.
Yeah.
Before we get into our segments, do you have any other topics you want to add?
No, because we already know what my Chuck's choice is going to be.
Yes, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get into Chuck's choice.
Chuck's choice this week, and this is not going to surprise any of you that have really listened to us over time. My choice right now is Grand Theft Auto 5. If you have not played this game, number one, how many of you can there possibly be that haven't played it? Number two, get off your ass and go play it. Whether you get it for the Xbox or the PlayStation, or if you wait a little while, it will be available on PC very soon, and it's actually going to be cheaper on the PC than it was on the PlayStation or the Xbox. So I think you absolutely should play this game. It is the best Grand Theft Auto game ever. It's better than San Andreas, which I personally never liked, but a lot of people did. It's better than Vice City, which is saying a lot for me because Vice City is my favorite. It's got good music. It's got just tremendous graphics. It's a beautiful game. For the first time, you're playing as three different protagonists. It kind of depends on how you look at the game, but technically they are antagonists. Anyway, you're playing as three different characters. How you play the game depends on which character you're playing as. There are certain points in the game where it forces you to switch, but you can also switch randomly. Like if you're in the middle of something and need somebody else's abilities, you can switch out to that person and finish up that run. So there are some missions that are specific to each individual, and you do have to do all those different missions to get the completion of the game. But it's such a hoot. It's been a great game. They've really there was a lot of flack about the weapon selection wheel that they're bringing up. I think it's great. It's very intuitive. It works. It's a quicker way to switch out your weapons. I also like the driving has been definitely improved. I actually sat down and played a little bit Grand Theft Auto 4 after I've been playing Grand Theft Auto 5 for a little bit. Grand Theft Auto 4's driving is just shit compared to 5. So they've definitely worked on it really hard to get this game, to get it right. And considering it's going to be the last version of Grand Theft Auto for the current generation of systems, I think they put a lot of work into it and made it really special. I can't wait to see what they're going to do with the next iteration. This particular one also has Grand Theft Auto Online, which is essentially an MMO type environment. It's not like World of Warcraft, though. It's basically you're doing Grand Theft Auto, but you're playing it online with people. You have missions where you team up with each other to take down a certain goal, whether it's a bank heist or whatever. You have missions where you got 16 on 16 rampages where you're fighting each other. You've got, which of course I don't really care for because I'm not a PvP guy, but it's a cool concept. You've got missions where you're just racing each other. It's really the Grand Theft Auto Online experience. It appeals to certain people. It looks very interesting. It's pretty. I'm not as big a fan of the Grand Theft Auto Online experience because there's not enough solo play, and I like solo play. I'm not as big into co-op and multiplayer as I am into soloing through something. Even when I was playing World of Warcraft or Star Wars Online, it was just me going through. I didn't need help for most of it. So unless I was dragging my little sister around. So anyway.
You make me sound like a tumor.
Well, sometimes. Look at that face. That's awesome. Anyway, If you have not played Grand Theft Auto Online, by all means, or I'm sorry, Grand Theft Auto number 5, go out and play it. Go to a friend's house, borrow it for a little while. Go to your big brother's house and play it there if you want. The game is a hoot. So yeah, unfortunately, it is not cheap. It is $60. It's the first game that I've spent real money on in quite a while. So I waited for this one because I really wanted to play it. And so yeah, it's not super cheap. It's a brand new game for current gen consoles, and yeah, they're not cheap. $60 a game. I think it's going to be either 40 or 50, maybe 45 for the PC. So if you have a PC that can play it, that's a good way to go. One of my friends at work, Leland, as a matter of fact, said to me yesterday that he refuses to pay for the game. He refuses to pay for any game called Grand Theft Auto. It's the whole thing is about stealing. So he's gonna steal the game, and I don't recommend that. I don't condone that. But get the game the normal routes. Pay for what you enjoy. I think I'm a big proponent of playing it for free, and if you like it, pay for it. I like that concept. Don't just steal it if you enjoy it. Go ahead and pay for it. But anyway, that's my pick of the week. Grand Theft Auto 5. Get it on the PlayStation. Xbox sucks.
Before I get into my soapbox, I just caught a little other tidbit of DC news that is worth mentioning. There are plans to kill off Superboy Connor Kent and replace him with John Lee Kent, the son of Clark and Lois from an alternate future, starting in Superboy 26. So Connor is dying again.
That's okay. The current Connor sucks anyway.
Yeah. They're also.
I mean, he really does.
They're also going to be shuffling Supergirl off to, and I quote, another whole set of books in the DC universe, end quote. There's speculation that this is an attempt to restart the Legion of Superheroes.
Okay.
So take that for what you will. I figured it was worth mentioning. Now for my soapbox. Oddly enough, I don't have anything DC related to rant about at the moment because until I see what they do with Stephanie, I have nothing bad to say about Didio. This left me with a bit of a conundrum.
What can I possibly bitch about?
Yeah. And so, yes, fear not, there is a soapbox.
Naturally.
I cannot bitch about comic books. I'm going to today bitch about parents. Not my parents, and possibly not your parents. As we all know, I have been in the child care industry for 2 years, just over 2 years. And in this time, I've seen all kinds of parents. Good parents, bad parents, mediocre parents, parents that probably should have had to take a test before they were able to procreate. And some of these kids, I'm just dying to adopt for myself because even though I'm broke, I could probably do better. So this is what I'm saying to our viewers, listeners, however you're choosing to get us. If you have a child, actually parent said child. I met a child the other day that's 4 years old. And when I met this child, he was rubbing 2 pieces of wood together, talking about making a fire and burning down a building. I later found out that this child constantly talks about such things as The Walking Dead, Chucky, other things that you wouldn't expect to be common for a 4-year-old. Then proceeded to ask him what he was going to dress up as for Halloween, and he said Ghostface. For those of you that don't know what Ghostface is, that's a killer from Scream.
Right.
Now, while I love the Scream franchise, and I think it's the best horror franchise ever, And there's nothing wrong with an adult or even an older teenager dressing up as Ghostface. I'm not sure that dressing up as a psychopathic killer is the most appropriate costume for a 4-year-old. Speaking of Grand Theft Auto, this plays right into the 8-year-olds that try to recreate Grand Theft Auto and their parents blame the publishers when the game itself is rated M and should not be in the hands of anybody under 17.
Right.
This all comes down to parenting. You can blame the movies, you can blame the video games, you can blame producers and artists, and on and on and on and on. But what this all comes down to is simple parenting. I grew up watching shows that some people consider violent, like Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers. Arguably Sailor Moon could be tossed on that list. Shows that some parents like to blame for their kids' violent behavior. I can also tell you, although I watched these shows and was an avid fan to the point of having, while yes, I did have like a Barbie comforter, I also had a Ninja Turtle comforter. I was a fan. I had the merchandise. I watched it religiously as a kid. I also never got into a fight in school, never turned anything into a weapon against one of my teachers or classmates, and never got sent to the principal's office for any sort of violent behavior. I knew how to respect my mother. I did not use any sort of foul language or disrespectful behavior against my parents, and I knew how to respect authority. You can't blame entertainment for your shortcomings as a parent. And if your child is displaying violent or otherwise disturbing behavior, that is on you as a parent. While yes, some of these tendencies are ingrained in a person, and I know I've seen parents that are just at their wits' end because in spite of everything they've tried to do, the child still displays disturbing behavior, get medical help at that point. It is your job as a parent to either be a parent, and if that's not working, get some authorities involved that can help you. But it's not the entertainment industry's fault. It's your responsibility. You brought the child into this world. It is your responsibility to make them viable for this world. And that's really all I have to say about it.
Fair enough.
Anything you want to add? You usually have something to say about my soapbox where I'm wrong.
I have to agree that the parenting of the current generation is lackluster at best. And yeah, sometimes you just want to choke them, slap them around a bit.
It's because this country has gotten too politically correct. You can't hit a child. You can't hurt their feelings. They can't lose a game. You can't even put them in timeout because that separates them from the group and makes them feel inferior. Sometimes a child needs consequences, and sometimes it's going to make them feel bad. And it's that bad feeling that's going to make them not be bad again.
Sometimes. I don't know. As an individual who is not a parent, I'm not. As an individual who is not in any kind of child care capacity, I'm not a babysitter. I'm not a daycare worker. I'm not a teacher. I'm not anything dealing with kids. Except for the kids that I work with, and they're a bunch of idiots. Disclaimer, everybody I work with is 18 or older. They just act like children. So it's hard for me to judge and tell people this is how you should be parenting, because I'm not sure that I would be any better at it. I hope I would be, because I see some of the crap that these parents are doing or not doing and how their kids are going to turn out. It's really easy to tell how that child is going to turn out. I've seen it happen too many times. I know what's going to happen, but it's not necessarily my place to correct those parents. However, I am dismayed at the direction parenting is going in.
Fair enough. For once you didn't disagree with me, I'm impressed.
I don't always disagree with you. Just sometimes I think that you take the wrong opinion.
Right. So
like
on that...
Like that shooting in Corpus. We're not going to argue about that again.
But just for those of you that don't know the backstory, and you can form your own opinion on it, we're not going to actually discuss it, but the facts of the case.
Right.
There was a convenience store that was robbed. The owner of the... what was taken was a case of beer. I don't know if it was 6 or 12. It's irrelevant. The shop owner was there. He had a gun. He shot the robber. The robber died. They've arrested him. They're just letting a grand jury decide whether or not to press charges. It has started a debate on if the shop owner was right or wrong to shoot the guy that was stealing beer from his store.
Now,
was it too much? Should he have just let the robber leave with the beer, or did he have a right to shoot the guy that was stealing from him?
Right. Now, let's be clear. He was stealing beer. At this point, I'm still not clear on whether or not the guy was armed, and he was leaving. He was not posing any direct threat to the shop owner.
No, he was just stealing from him.
Right. So my position on it is that I don't think that the shop owner should have fired because there was no direct threat to himself or anyone else. Priscilla obviously disagrees. She thinks that he had every right to kill the man over beer. So,
my opinion is if the guy wouldn't have been stealing, he wouldn't have been shot. Which
is a valid point. And like I said, we're not going to sit here and argue about it. Once again, we do have differing opinions. Interestingly enough, I'm the one who's going, no, that was too far. I'm the one who usually is all about the free use of guns and all that neat stuff. But I happen to have a very definitive line of when deadly force should and should not be used. But that's just me, and we all have our opinions. And like I said, go get the facts, discuss it amongst yourselves, and decide for yourself which way this should have gone down.
And of course, if you do have an opinion, feel free to let us in on it. We're happy to hear from you, and if we get feedback about this case, maybe we'll discuss it next time.
Right. Never feel afraid to share your opinions on anything we have said or done on this show. We welcome them, and we will tolerantly discuss them.
So on that note, let's go ahead and jump into Flix Picks.
Okay.
I'll let you go first.
Oh, okay. Hang on. I actually have them. I just have to go to the other screen. Come on, mousey. There we go. Okay, so I have my 3 Flix Picks, as we normally do. My first one is Quentin Tarantino classic Pulp Fiction. If you have not seen Pulp Fiction, I don't know what rock you've been living under, but go see this movie. It's on the Netflix right now, on the Netflix. Quentin Tarantino, it's kind of a rambling story. They do all connect, but you have to watch it from front to back to really get it. But it's kind of bookended by these hitmen who are contemplating life and their jobs. That's the best I'm going to explain for you right now. It's got Samuel L. Jackson. Wow, all their names are gone. Samuel L. Jackson, Uma Thurman, Bruce Willis, Michael Clark Duncan, Mr. Cotta. Crap, what's his name? Vinnie Barbarito from Grease.
John Travolta?
Thank you, John Travolta.
Oh my God.
And Christopher Walken even makes an appearance in it. So it's a very, very interesting cast, very interesting movie. watch it from start to finish. Don't try to only watch half of it and make a judgment. Watch the whole thing and then judge whether or not you liked it, because I think you'll find you did. My next one is The Rundown, starring The Rock, and also Christopher Walken as the bad guy in this one. Basically, The Rock is sent to hunt down a particular individual played by Sean William Scott, who has run afoul of Christopher Walken. And they're in the Amazon. Funny movie. There's a lot of hijinks with monkeys and trees and local natives. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Also, Saturday Night Live, the very best of Christopher Walken. Are we seeing a theme here? It's a Christopher Walken day. If you have not seen the best of Christopher Walken Saturday Night Live, now's a good time. It's got some of the classic sketches, including more cowbell and the Continental. So definitely check those out. Those are my 3 picks. It's Christopher Walken day.
Okay. Before I get into my picks, I just want to toss out that Arrow, the CW show, is now on Netflix. So if you haven't seen it and been wanting to check it out, it's there.
No, that's cheating. That's one pick.
No, it's not a pick, because I actually wouldn't watch it on Netflix because I've seen it. I was just letting our viewers know it's there because I've mentioned it before.
No. A lot of the stuff that I have chosen as picks are things that I'm not actually currently watching. It's things that I have already seen, whether they were on Netflix at the time that I saw them or not. That's cheating.
No, it's not, because it's not a pick. I'm not recommending it. I'm letting them know it's there.
You just said if you haven't seen it, go watch it. That's a pick.
I said you can go watch it.
That's a pick.
No, it's not.
Cheater.
But I am going to cheat today. I do actually have 4 picks. That's not one.
You have 5.
So I have a theme in my picks today too, but mine is something you wouldn't normally expect from me.
Is it porn?
There's not porn on Netflix. I've looked.
I know, and that is so weird. They don't even have softcore stuff.
Right? Anyway, no, this is not something you would normally... And besides, porn would totally be expected from me.
Yeah, that's true.
No, this is something you wouldn't expect from me, but over the last couple of nights, I have been watching a series of documentaries.
You're right. I wouldn't expect you to try to learn anything.
Screw you. And I've watched 4 documentaries, specifically. I couldn't narrow it down to 3, so I'm going to toss out all 4, because they were all interesting in their own right. The first one that I watched is called The Man with Half a Body. And this is a story about a man named Kenny who literally has half a body. His body stops at his waist, and there is no more to him. He walks on his hands. He is half... I want to say he's half a person because obviously he's a person, but he looks like half a person. If you see him sitting down where you can't see below his torso, he looks perfectly normal. Once he gets up, obviously not so much. The documentary chronicles a year of his life and talks about his struggles as a kid. And
he was born that way?
He was born with what is essentially like frog-type legs that they had to amputate when he was 6 months old. So yes, from 6 months old on, he's been this way.
Gotcha.
And it talks about the medical aspects of his condition, which is why I actually watched it, because I was fascinated by what condition this was and how he was able to live this way.
Right.
So definitely interesting to watch. Next one is called The Man Who Lost His Face. This is about a man in Portugal, and I'm going to tell a story that makes me look really, really blonde. I know where Portugal is. I know about Columbus too. But when they showed the map of his traveling from Portugal to Chicago, my first thought was, well, why did he start on that side of the world? Isn't it near Argentina? Are you done laughing yet? Can I continue? Okay, I'll assume that you've stopped laughing. Okay.
Oh, I love you so much. I need to write that down and share it with John. All right, go ahead.
Anyway, this man from Portugal had a 10-pound tumor on his face. It made him blind in one eye because it covered his eye. It was starting to come over the other eye. It obviously came down his face. To get around, he pretty much had to hold the tumor like this because 10 pounds weighing on your face. He didn't get it removed because the type of tumor it was had a lot of blood vessels in it, and it would have required a blood transfusion. While his mother was alive, he didn't want to do it because his mother's religion does not allow for blood transfusion. So he waited until she passed away, and by that point the tumor had gotten really large and life-threatening to even have the operation. This goes through that process. And I found that interesting. I will say for that one, if you're squeamish, there are some parts you're going to want to turn away because they do show parts of the medical procedure.
All right.
The next one is The Tiniest Girl in the World. This follows a little girl named Charlotte. At 2 years old, she was only 7 pounds. She has what's called primordial dwarfism. Adorable little girl, and it goes through her diagnosis. Just so you know, the little girl does survive. I actually, after I watched this, I Googled her because I wanted, this documentary is a couple years old. She was 2 at the time. She's 5 years old now, still alive, and doing quite well. So there's not a sad ending to that story. I know where there's children involved. I like to know ahead of time if I'm going to, I won't want to watch it if the kid dies. And my favorite one, and I think this was just because I'm able to relate to it, not to this extent, but through a little bit, it's called My 600-Pound Life. And it's about a woman, 600 pounds. She had gastric bypass surgery, and it goes through the process of her weight loss. And while obviously I've never been 600 pounds, I have recently been, because of my liver disease, in the process of losing weight. And a lot of that struggle, the struggle to not go to the fridge when you're upset, the struggle to realize you need to make healthy choices even though that's not what is natural to you. I can relate to all that. So it follows her through that, and a lot of what she felt, both the despair and the happiness when she started to lose weight, I can relate to. Since I got diagnosed with liver disease, I've lost a total of somewhere in the neighborhood of around 45 pounds. It's been a couple of weeks, so maybe more now. But I've lost about 45 pounds. It's very exciting, but it's a very hard process to get to, so I was able to relate to it. Of course, this was on a much grander scale and a lot more work and pain to get to it, and I think it's, especially if you're one of the people that likes to put overweight people down all the time, you need to watch this. And it's not a matter of, well, they just can't stop eating. There's more to it than that. And I think if you watch this, you'll see that, and you won't look at overweight people the same way again. So those are my picks.
All right.
And I realize that for me, they're very intellectual.
But some good picks. I actually saw those in my recommended list earlier, so yeah. Good picks.
Hey. So that's all I got. You got anything else to add?
I don't. I'm excited about the upcoming weeks. Oh, what are you going to do for Halloween?
I'm going to work on Halloween.
Right, but are you going to dress up?
I am going to dress up.
So what are you dressing up as for Halloween?
I am doing my own variation of the Supergirl costume. I photoshopped one a while back that was, instead of her traditional red and blue, it was black and pink, and I just so happened to have all the pieces to make my Photoshop a reality, and decided I'm going to do that because 2-year-olds don't care if I use accurate coloring, so I get to express my own vision of Kara.
Okay. I'm going as a nun again. I haven't done it in years. And for those of you listening, yes, nun. Catholic nun, habit and everything, and no, I'm not shaving. I might trim the beard a little bit. I need to trim it. But anyway, I haven't done it in several years, like 6. So, and most of the people I work with have not actually seen me in the nun costume, so I'm going to go as a nun again this year, if I can find all the pieces again.
Okay.
Good times. Considering how heavy I am, I could go as a pregnant nun.
That would actually be funny.
So anyway, offend everybody all at once. So anyway, that's our show.
And hopefully we'll be back with another one relatively soon.
Yeah, we're going to try and start doing these much more regularly. The last couple of months have been really busy for both of us, more so her than me, but we'll see how that goes.
I'm in high demand.
Yeah, you're high anyway.
Yeah, said no one to me ever.
I say it all the time. I call you high all the time.
You're never right.
That doesn't mean I don't say it.
Anyway, as always, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, share us with your friends. We're not going anywhere. There will always eventually be another episode. You just can't always guarantee when it'll be.
That's right.
Always love to hear from you. Email us, tweet us. Let us know what you think. We'd love to hear from you.
There you go.
So until next time, take care, and we'll be seeing you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Oh, I have to hit the button.
Yeah.